Hashtag true story. So I'm at the vegan restaurant, and then she tries to convert me to veganism. They always want to convert. She goes, it's not natural that you eat meat. It's not natural you eat meat. This is LA. Nothing about this woman was natural. Everything was fake. She had 4-inch heels, fake tan, fake boobies. Above the neck was all stretched, stapled, tucked, peeled, injected. Her face looked like a baby trying to squeeze out of a womb. She's like... You want some of my chicken with the backwards K, you know me? Oh, so gross.
Hello, this is Andre Tucker with StarNet Studios. Thank you for coming to see us today. Today we have a comedian and actor with us, Mr. Bill Dawes. He's been a very busy man throughout his career. He has been on The Good Fight, All My Children. He's done Law and Order and many other different things. So, Mr. Bill Dawes, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Good to be here.
Excellent. Well, thanks for having us. I know you're out there in California right now. So you are based in New York, though. Is that correct?
Well, I was based in New York for a long time. I had an apartment in Manhattan, but I lost it in a very vicious eviction battle. It was an apartment I owned, and I moved out to LA about 3 years ago, and I don't miss it, surprisingly. I thought I was like New York, do or die, but come on. I'm doing a podcast outside right now in the middle of winter. So,
right. Yeah, well, I mean, I understand that. I'm in Houston, right? So, yeah, I mean, so with the exception, I mean, if you've seen the news, you know that February has some, some little challenges there with some cold we weren't accustomed to, but but I definitely understand the warm weather in the southern half of the United States.
I was in Houston last week at the Houston Improv.
Yeah. Okay. You were on the Houston Improv. Okay. Excellent. Because I was gonna ask you about that as far as like if you've done some time at the Improv and I also know that you've done a lot of time at the Laugh Factory. You've done it on both coasts or just one of them? Or?
Yeah. Well, they had their. The Laugh Factory isn't really franchised. It's a little bit, the Hollywood one is the main one, and they branched out here and there, and sometimes they branch out and it doesn't work. They were in New York for about 7 years maybe, and it was connected to old Show World Strip Club on 42nd and 8th. So I think he went into partnership with a strip club owner for that building, which led to some issues. That may or may have involved like guns and mafia. So that closed down. And then he has one opening in San Diego, and then there's one in Vegas and Reno and Chicago. And I think that's where they are right now, yeah. But LA, the West Hollywood one's literally like right across the street from me. It's my home club.
Nice. So speaking of that particular club, as we were discussing earlier, I saw one of your many films that you have done, which was Before the Sun Explodes, and that club is featured in that film. So I wanted to ask you, tell me a little bit about, because you're a comedian, that character is a comedian. How much of Ken was your character's name, I believe? Yeah, so how much of Bill is there in Ken?
Okay, well, the story about that is Deborah and Zeke, the writers of that, the co-writers. I ended up coming on as the third writer, but they wrote it. It was supposed to be a movie about stalking and about how social media and everyone's stalking everyone now. That was kind of the theme. And they wanted to do a musician, and then Zeke said, "Oh, we should do comedy." And he goes, "One of my old friends, is a comic," and so he kind of based the role on me once they had the idea of like this guy who's like 40, getting older, never quite broke as a comic, respected, working the clubs. And so that was kind of like the jumping off point. And I've done a lot of film readings. So when he called me to do a reading of the screenplay, I just showed up, didn't really pay attention. I just kind of read it. and the director Deborah Eisenstadt didn't want me for the role, and Zeke called me. He's like, Bill, I wrote this role for you. It's partially based on you, so let's do a reading again, and this time be more you. Be less whatever you were doing, be more you. You gotta be the best you can be. So I was like, oh shit, this could be a really great role for me. So I went in there, and they didn't know anything about the comedy world, so I sort of wrote all the comedy jokes. I kind of explained how the comedy world works. You know, I think there are some things they got right. There's some things that they didn't get right. It was hard to kind of tell them how to do it. It's not really about comedy. It's more like the background for it. You know, in the beginning of the movie, you guys watch it, like my character has a set where he bombs, and trust me, I bombed before, but that's not really how a bomb goes. It's painful to watch, so it's cinematic. But so yeah, it's sort of, the comedy is obviously is jokes I wrote for the character. I relate to a lot of what he's talking about, but it's other than that, it's all fictional. Yeah.
Okay. Now interesting, because like as you mentioned, there is a scene where the character does bomb. I wasn't gonna bring that up. I was gonna leave the viewers to find that bit out for themselves. But since you mentioned that, that was something I was thinking about. So that part is a little bit, uncomfortable to watch, to be honest. So and the other thing about that is you have another situation, which once again I won't spoil, but the average male would probably be putting themselves in what would I do if I was in that situation, sure, regarding what happens later on into the evening. So I mean, I know I'm being kind of vague there, but I want people to come find out for themselves. But yeah, it is definitely a what would you do situation if they were in your shoes, and you know what I'm talking about since it's your film there. Yeah. So definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, hopefully we can talk a little bit, because hopefully people will see us on Amazon Prime Before the Sun Explodes. It's a film I co-wrote, I co-produced, I star in. It's basically this guy. He's a married guy. He's in a tough marriage, maybe a bad marriage, and definitely strained marriage. And this kind of hot young comic, maybe new comic, is kind of into this guy. Some people might watch and go like, why is this hot young girl into this like older comic man? All I'll say is like, you don't know the comedy world. Believe me, it's bizarre. Like there are women way out of my league who are into me. I'm like, what are you doing messing with me? Like I'm not okay. But they call them. Can we curse? There's a name. They call them chuckle fuckers. So so I don't know if that's about, but the point is, it is realistic that you will have women reason that develop a sort of unhealthy obsession with you. They've seen you around as a comic, and I think it exists a lot more with musicians, obviously. Then I think after musicians, maybe movie stars, but then comics sort of after that, people really feel like they connect and they're friendly, and they get this really unhealthy attachment to the comics. I think we see how it gets played out with some of these comics who've gone down with the Me Too stuff recently. But anyway, so so my character is definitely a character I relate to in that way. And you said in terms of the bombing situation, we've all bombed. Usually when you bomb as a comic, as a veteran comic, if you're saying jokes people won't laugh, you change directions, or you go, oh wow, that one didn't work. All right, next joke. What do you guys want? Is this a church group or whatever? You just do things to cover for the fact that you're bombing. And this show, I just like the director said, nobody in the audience laugh. So Bill, tell your jokes. And some of the jokes I know are funny, but no one laughs, so it just seems like they're not funny at all. It was a very challenging day, because even though everyone's
now on the same token, speaking of which, now something that actually got me thinking. So when you are on stage, how does it feel when you're up there? Is it just kind of like, are you in the zone? Is it like an adrenaline rush? Is it like, okay, I have plan A, I'm going to tell this joke and that joke, and if it doesn't work, kind of like you were saying about switching direction and you kind of move to plan B? I mean, how does it generally feel on average? When
I just saw this documentary on Bruce Lee called Be Like Water. And I was thinking about that, like, I think that ultimately that should be the goal. Sometimes you come in like you're shot out of a cannon and you're like, I'm just going to do my point of view, blah, 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 blah. But I think ultimately you got to be like water. You got to come in with a wave, but you got to be completely flexible. I mean, I think that's a challenge for anything any artist is really to be 100% committed to your point of view and be willing to drop it 100% at a moment's notice. It's like really great improv actors can do that. They commit to idea and they can shift instantly. And I think with comics, when I look back at moments I bombed, I think I'm usually like I'm kind of monolithically shooting in this one direction, and I'm just going to beat them in submission. And sometimes it works, but when it doesn't work, it can be really painful. I think you got to be really good at just taking in the audience and taking in the energy and taking in the people. And I think that if you let yourself be vulnerable that way and receptive that way, you'll never really fail, because at least you're present and connected. You know what I mean?
I do. So what's next for you as far as the comedy, as far as like where are you going to be, performing next, and what cities, what areas?
In Houston again, headlining on the 4th. I'll be doing a headlining show on the 4th in Houston, which I'll be on my social media. I have shows in West Hollywood. I don't know when this comes out this weekend, and then I'm on the road with Jeremy Piven a lot. So we have maybe 5 or 6 dates coming up, and I'm working with him and helping him develop his special and stuff like that. But that's great in terms of TV with comedy right now. I've had some people approach me. I've had several interests in doing specials, and for whatever reason, they've all kind of fallen through for different reasons. But plan is I want to do one for this year. That's kind of my plans, is to get out, maybe just self-produce a special on YouTube, which seems to be the move a lot of people are doing. And I have a lot of material. I just want to retire. I'm getting older. I just want to retire it, put it out there, just silly stuff that works, but I'm kind of I don't want to do it anymore.
Right. And film-wise, one of the next things you have coming up is a sci-fi piece called Invasion. That right?
It's interesting. I'm excited about it because I don't know how it's going to turn out. I really liked working with the director. Oh my God, I'm blanking on his last name. Michael. I don't know. Michael, the director, Michael. But the lead actor is Riz Ahmed. I don't know if you know who Riz Ahmed is, but Riz Ahmed right now just got nominated. He will be nominated. You will hear it from me, my prediction. He'll be nominated for an Oscar this year for a film called Sound of Metal. I think it's pretty much a shoo-in. He's going to be nominated for Sound of Metal this year, and he's the lead in this movie. And I think it's the next movie that's going to be released after he's going to get nominated for an Oscar. So that means a lot of people are going to watch it. And I play. What can I play now? I'm a white man in my 40s. I'm playing a white nationalist. Yeehaw! I play a cop or a white nationalist. That's kind of where I'm at right now in terms of the casting world, which is fine. You need villains, just bring some truth to it and make it interesting. That's all I can do.
Well, I guess that'll make for an interesting dynamic between you and Mr. Riz Ahmed. He was in Rogue One. Is that?
Yeah, Rogue One.
Star Wars Rogue One? Okay.
Yeah. By the way, he just turned down, they wanted to bring him back to Star Wars, and he turned it down. They wanted to put him in the new Venom movie, and they turned it down. He's an artist, man. The guy is fucking legit. He's like, nah, man, I'm on this path. God bless him. He's a great, great actor. If you ever saw The Night Of on HBO, he won an Emmy for it. He's about as legit as you get as an actor. Nice guy, very, very focused, very dedicated. I'm excited to see what he's able to do with this film. My part, it's a supporting part. It's a small part. I'm obviously the white guy chasing the brown man in the movie, but you got to do it.
Okay, so you have Before the Sun Explodes already on Amazon. This Invasion, do you think it'll follow that same path? It'll be on Amazon?
Yes, it's actually produced by Amazon Studios.
Okay.
So I think for sure it's going to be Amazon. I don't know if it's going to do film festivals first. I think it might be one of the biggest budget films I've done, and not that it's huge budget. I was in New York doing indies. I think it's like a $30 million budget film though, so it's like a legitimate Amazon Studios production. So it'll be interesting to see how it works, if it works, how it's received.
All right. Well, we'll certainly be on the lookout for that. I look forward to seeing that. I enjoyed Before the Sun Explodes well, so we'll look forward to seeing more of what you have to work on. And glad to hear you're going to be coming to Houston again next month. That sounds like that'll be something to see. So Can't
Yes.
wait. All right.
All right, man.
All right. All right, Bill. Well, thank you very much for being here on StarNet Studios, and I appreciate your time. And once again, just good luck to you, and look forward to seeing what you do next.
Thank you, Andre. Thanks for having me, man.